Tonight's species is known for its skyrocketing jumps. Some people refer to the big fish as smokers. I love that these fish can be caught throughout all of Florida and on a variety of different tackle. I know Brie loves the kingfish because they make great smoked fish dip. Get ready, it's time for the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Good to see everyone back here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, ready for another week of reeling them in. It's looking like we might have a weekend of some weather moving through, but our captains are on it and will have us fishing like the kings and queens we are, right, Rick?
Absolutely, Bree. So what? A little rain never hurt anybody.
No, never.
That's what they make
I like
foul
fishing
weather
in the
gear
rain,
for.
actually.
Oh, of
yeah,
course.
we get to wear it.
And you know what? The truth is, if everybody's diving like most people are going to be doing this weekend, you're wet already.
That's true.
So look at the bright side.
Okay. I'm always on the bright side. Oh. All right, today we have a very special guest joining Dave Farrell at the workbench, Captain Jimbo Thomas from the Casa Vieja Southeast region. You brought in the reinforcements, Dave.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Oh, yeah. Well, Rick brought him in because, he didn't have confidence in my kingfishing ability. Which, hey, I understand.
Can't much blame him.
I understand. I understand. You're a commercial kingfisherman. You should know more about it than me.
Uh-oh.
Yep, he should.
Shots
He's
fired.
going to share it.
All right. Well, we're going to be learning a lot today. All right, Captain Tommy Derringer is reporting first up, and rightfully so, because up there in the Alvey Reels Northeast region, they sure do revel and live in that king life. Right, Tommy?
Oh, we're all about that king life, Brie. I tell you what, man, king fishing, it's a pretty big deal here in the Alvey Sidecast Reels Northeast region. They're one of the most popular fish to target here in the region during our warmer months. And you can find them along the reefs and wrecks offshore and right along the beach pretty much all summer long. In fact, you can even catch some really big kingfish off of the local piers when the conditions are right. Now, for most of the summer, there are quite a few kings in that 10, 20-pound range on the live bottom reefs near shore throughout the region, and that's in about 60 to 80 feet of water. And you're just going to want to look for structure that's holding some bait, and that's usually where you're going to find those kingfish, although sometimes it's just a good idea to troll over that structure whether the bait's there or not. Now, historically, leading up to the full moon, it was some of those bigger fish will start to show up near the beach, and we have the full moon coming up in just a few days, so it might be a good chance to check that out. Now, you're going to want to troll along the beach in anywhere from about 30 to 50 feet of water, keeping an eye out for bait pods. Now, most anglers are going to troll a live pogie or maybe even a ribbon fish, whether you're on the beach or offshore. The typical kingfish rig in my region is going to be a wire leader stinger rig with 1 or 2 treble hooks and maybe even a Boone Mylar duster to sweeten it up just a little bit. And guys, if you're looking to get into kingfishing, you definitely want to get to Strike Zone, as Dave and his crew got that stuff seriously dialed in. And they have a website called kingfishzone.com, completely dedicated to all that stuff. So if you're looking to get into kingfishing, check that out. And I got a picture here. My buddy Captain Rob Bennett sent me this picture of Justine Kronk with a nice St. Augustine Beach kingfish that she caught. I also just want to say congrats to Captain Rob and his wife Amber. They had their little baby girl, Kara, this past week. So congrats on that, guys. Now, staying offshore, with that full moon coming up in a few days, offshore guys are going to be getting in on that mangrove snapper spot. We have some of the biggest mangrove snappers around, with fish over 10 pounds being pretty much the normal this time of year. Now, most anglers are going to chum those snapper up with cut bait like chunk sardines, and they're going to free line a piece of that cut bait back to the school. And you want to use fairly light tackle that can be a little shy, so a long 20 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader with a small 3/0 Eagle Claw circle hook is going to be the way to go. And speaking of big mangoes, I got another picture. Captain Dave Carruthers sent me this picture of his client, Daniel Hoppin, with a 13-pound stud mangrove they caught just north on inland. How about the size of that sucker?
That's beautiful. All right, let's go inshore, bub.
Hey, fantastic summer of snook fishing that we've had going on here in the region. We've had so many warm winters in a row. Our snook population is now pretty substantial. Now, in the south end of the region, from Daytona to Palm Coast, the bridges have been holding some really good numbers of snook, and some really big ones at that. The best bite has been at night, fishing along the fenders or the shadow line on those bridges using large free-line live shrimp, mullet, or even a pinfish. Now, big diving plugs and bucktail jigs, the old go-to bucktail jigs, they've also been getting their fair share of those big snook. And with the incoming tide after dark this weekend, that should be a really good time to go check that out. Now, the south end of the region, it's not the only place to catch a snook right now, as just about any of our bigger creeks like Pelliser, Moultrie Creek, Pablo Creek, and even up there in the St. Johns River, they've been holding some nice snook. And the low light hours are going to be best, and a lot of those fish are caught on topwater plugs first thing in the morning, and then right again before dark, or even after some of these afternoon thunderstorms. Now, staying inshore, the most consistent bite over the last month throughout the region has really been the flounder, and this week it's been pretty darn good. There's still good numbers of flounder on the nearshore reefs, but it seems like some of those bigger fish, they've started to show up inshore and in the backcountry areas. There's a ton of those really small 2 to maybe 4-inch mullet around, and those guys are going to make the perfect flounder snack, so bring your cast net. The flounder don't seem to mind those hot midday water temperatures as much as some of our other inshore species. And with that low tide being the best tide to catch them, and in the middle of the day this weekend, flounder would be my go-to target species. Rig those small mullet or mud minnows, if you can find them, on either a heavy jig head or fish finder rig, and just drag it slow across the bottom. Fish the smaller runouts in the creeks and along the ICW on that outgoing tide, and especially those ones that you see that are covered up in those small mullets. It's hard to miss them. They're going to be jumping around. Make sure to let that flounder chew for a few seconds before setting the hook. And I got one last picture here. Captain Colin Phillips, who I've dubbed now the Flounder Whisperer, sent me this picture of an 8-pound monster flounder that he caught this weekend in Jacksonville.
Oh, that's some good eats there, bub. Thank you so much, Tommy. We'll talk to you next week. It's time for the Strike Zone Northeast Hotspots. He says that inshore, snook at night at the bridges from Ponce Inlet to Palm Coast. Free line big live shrimp or mullet to the fenders and the shadow lines. And then offshore, schooled up mangrove snappers on the reefs and wrecks and 120 to 140 feet of water throughout the entire region, Brie.
That picture of the mangrove.
Whoa, man, what a big flatty.
That's your fave.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. All right, dropping down into the Fish Bites East region, you'll be finding your royal catch hanging out on the reefs and around the bait schools, feasting on some early morning breakfast, and late in the day when the wind picks up. But let's get our expert, Mike Holliday, on the line to get more specific. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Brie. The biggest issue going on with kingfishing right now is all the seaweed that's washing in. And despite that, the bite remains pretty strong throughout the entire region. There's a lot of fish off Palm Beach County from Sloan's Curve south to the breakers. They seem to be in anywhere from 90 to 150 feet of water. And there's also been a lot of fish about a mile south of St. Lucie Inlet in 120 to 145 feet of water on the backside of the 8-mile reef, and also in 70 feet of water on the 6-mile reef. And then in St. Lucie County, the bait schools around the offshore bar are holding a lot of kings and some really big ones right now, as are the bait schools in 35 feet of water off the Vero Cove. So we're pretty covered up in kings. The key to catching summer kings in my region is to find the bait, whether that's on the beach, on the artificial or natural reefs, or just out in open water. If a bait school pops up on the surface this time of the year, you can bet the king's going to be on them. They seem to be more active early and late in the day. Then you want to target those fish with sardines, red fins, goggle eyes, or blue runners. You can put them out on a 3-hook Palm Beach rig on 40-pound fluorocarbon leader, or you can use a number 4 wire stinger rig with a number 4 2X strong Eagle Claw treble hooks. Just slow troll, make a lot of turns. The average king's 12 to 20 pounds. I got a photo. That's Don Cooper and Terry Sandow. They caught that smoker king in 100 feet of water off Stewart, and that fish was in the low 40s in weight. It ate a trolled ballyhoo. The other thing, there's a full moon coming up this weekend, and it's one of the top wahoo moons of the year in Palm Beach and southern Martin County. It seems like the wahoo like to run the edge of the reef in anywhere from 150 to 250 feet of water in that area. The best action from Hope Sound south all the way to Lake Worth. The bite lasts 3 or 4 days on either side of the full moon, and some of the largest wahoo of the year are taken this month as those fish come in to feed on bonita and the blackfin tuna that are up on the reefs. The best way to catch a wahoo is to target them using a downrigger, a trolling weight, or a wire line. Whatever you can do to get your baits below the surface. A planer will work just as well. Wahoo seem to like the darker colors, purple, black, blue. So if you're going to add a skirt, those are the colors you want to pick. Put it on a double-hook ballyhoo or mullet on number 7 wire, or you can slow troll blue runners and do really well. Average wahoo's anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds, but fish to 80 pounds are pretty common this month. I have a photo. That's Allison Statler. She caught that wahoo in 220 feet of water off Jupiter. She was fishing with Captain Charlie Stoops, and that fish ate a live blue runner.
Cool. All right, well, let's go inshore, bub.
Well, this is the time of year when the mangrove snapper are moving closer to shore to feed on the hatching sea turtles and the juvenile threadfin, sardine, and pilchard schools that are in tight on the beach. And a lot of the larger fish will lock onto those nearshore rock piles in 15 to 25 feet of water, or even they'll move in on the jetties and around the inlet. So it's common to catch some of those bigger fish you normally find offshore, the 3 to 5 pound fish. Inside the inlets, the fish are targeting the minnow schools along the shorelines within a mile or so of the inlets. They're holding tight to the seawalls. They're holding tight to mangroves, down trees. You want to target them on 15 to 20 pound tackle, a 25 pound fluorocarbon leader, and a 2.0 trocar circle hook, and maybe just a little split shot. You can use shrimp, sardines, threadfins, pilchards, even small sand perch will work. Around the inlets, the slack tides are when they come out of the rocks to feed, so that's when you want to fish. On the beach, look for the fish holding tight to any of the rock piles that are on the beach. Average snapper is going to be 1 to 2 pounds, but fish to 10 pounds in the mix. I have a photo. That's Mike Dixon. He caught that nice mangrove snapper out of the trees in Jupiter, and that fish ate a live Spanish sardine. And then going into the full moon, we're talking about the largest snook of the year are going to move onto the beaches and into the inlets for the last few moons of the summer spawn. So places like Blowing Rocks, Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge, Tiger Shores, Normandy Beach, the South Jetty in Fort Pierce, and Rio Mar area up in Vero Beach, they're all going to see their best catch and release snook action of the year over the next probably week or 10 days. All the inlets will have their share of spawning aggregations, with the incoming tide the best time to fish in Palm Beach and Jupiter, and the outgoing tide the best time to fish St. Lucie and Fort Pierce. On the beach, you can target the fish with fly rods using bait fish patterns in green, light brown, or blue, or you can throw a 4-inch sea shad in copper juice or opening night colors. Once the sun gets up, you switch over to live pilchard, a threadfin, or a croaker. Average snook's going to be anywhere 5 to 15 pounds, with fish to 30 pounds taken over the next week or two.
All right, Hollywood, we got to have a bass report. So what do you got for me this week?
Well, water levels are up on Lake Tahoe, and the fish have pushed from that open water hydrilla bite back into the Kissimmee grass, particularly around the areas that are bordering shell beds. I was talking to Captain Steve Niemiller of BassOnline.com. He's saying the bluegill are spawning on those shell beds, so the bass are there feeding on them in places like out in front of Gobbler's Cove near Marker 26, and straight out in front of Richardson's Cove near Paradise Island. And you can target the fish along the edges of the grass with a chartreuse or chartreuse in blue shallow diving crankbait, like something that dives less than 2 feet. Or you can throw a worm or a swim bait in the June bug or sungill colors. June bug if the water's dirty, and sungill on the sunny days when you have clean water. If you're looking for a big fish, you can get them to eat a live shiner with just a little weight on it. Fish it right over those shell beds. The average fish 1 to 3 pounds, and fish to 7 pounds. And it's like a 20 to 30 fish morning, and you're off the water by 10 o'clock on Lake Tahoe.
All right, great report from the Fish Bites East region. It is time for the TNH Marine Hotspots. Mike, thank you. Inshore, tarpon in the mouth of Mud Creek. It's the dawn bite. Throw a Houdini-colored sea shad or a live mullet on a circle hook. And then offshore, mutton snappers in 73 feet of water on the Loran Tower Ledge. Grunt plugs, bonito chunks, and pilchards or sardines with a 50-foot leader is going to catch those muttons.
All right, we're freelining into the Bell's Southwest region coming right up. But first, we're getting schooled by Dave Farrell and Captain Jimbo Thomas at the CCA workbench for Academy Outdoors rigs and techniques, right?
That's correct. You ever wonder how those guys out there on those commercial kingfish boats catch those hundreds of pounds?
Yes.
Jimbo's going to tell us how.
Oh, thank
All right.
the Lord. We'll be right back.
Hundreds of pounds.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats, always in the game. Noble Air Charters, raising the bar yet again. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Sirius XM Marine, weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. And Daiquiri Deck, Sarasota's favorite place to meet.
Reliability. Yamaha is legendary for it. But it's more than a legend. It's something boaters have come to value. Why? Because it's rare. Because in this fast-paced, single-use world, few things are built to last. So when we find something that is, we hold on for dear life, to friendships, to traditions, to outboards. Because it's the lucky few who get to spend as much time on the water as they'd like. The rest of us, we look forward to those precious few days. That makes every second sacred. Every moment mean that much more. And it drives us to wring the most of every minute we get on the water, having incredible adventures, fighting the fish, making unforgettable memories. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters choose Yamaha for the long run, for life. Because reliability starts here.
What started in the flats and bays has migrated offshore. GPS-guided trolling motor technology has moved to boats in the 35-plus foot class and allowed anchoring capabilities on most center consoles in any depth of water. From snook and redfish inshore to grouper and swordfish way out deep, Rodan Marine Systems has a GPS anchor to hold your vessel on location. Set it, forget it, catch more fish.
The only reel with over 100 years of heritage. Alvi Sidecast reels allow you to cast over 150 yards with up to 900 yards of capacity. Alvi's state-of-the-art drag and 22-inch retrieve rate per wine is perfect for any surf challenge. Alvi reels are manufactured to best practice standards and are in fact so robust that the Alvi also comes with a 10-year salt and sand warranty. For more information, go to alvius.com.
All right, we're here at the CCA workbench for the Academy Sports and Outdoors Rigging and Techniques with Captain Jimbo Thomas. He's going to tell us a little bit about kingfish. You know, kingfish is one of the very first offshore fish that most people catch because they're so close to shore and everything.
Correct.
But, you know, what time of the year do we normally catch all the kings down here in South Florida?
We can catch them throughout the year, but down in the southeast region in South Florida, my favorite time is April and May around the full moon. That's when we catch the most of them and the largest ones.
Right.
But we also have a good run typically in December, and they can turn on at any given time throughout the year.
So they're up and down this coast pretty much all year.
There's definitely phases where we see more of them than other times, but that can happen at any given time.
Up in Central Florida where I live, in the summertime is when we catch the great big ones because they come real close to the beach, and a lot of times they're built on those pogey pods. And how are you targeting these kingfish? I know it's different from year to year.
Yeah, well, there's a couple different ways. We can troll for them, or we can live bait for them.
Right. Which is your preferred?
I prefer live baiting, but that's what our standard technique of fishing because you can catch a lot of other species while you're trying to catch kingfish. So when
you're using live baits, are you using a kite or?
Well, we can kite fish, we can flatline, we can slow troll, and we can even put deep lines down with live baits. And we want to fish anywhere from about 50 to 150 feet of water. So on the kites, we'll put a piece of wire leader on there. And if we're kite fishing for kings, we like to use a circle hook because you're going to get sailfish bites as well. And we don't want to use other hooks that
might hurt
the sails. So you can use a circle hook. We got a Trocar Eagle Claw circle hook. You want to match your hook size to what size bait you have. So whether you're using a herring, a pilchard, a sardine, a big goggle eye. You know, if you got a big bait, you don't want to use a smaller hook.
Because it gets in the way.
Well, it gets in the way and it just kind of overpowers the bait.
Right.
So
what size wire is that?
This is number 5 wire. You can go a little lighter, you can go a little heavier, but 5 is a good all-around size. A lot of times after one fish, though, you're going to have to replace your wire because it's going to be kinked up.
Right.
And you don't want to risk losing a fish because of a kink. So we will pre-rig a bunch of these before we leave the dock, and then if it gets kinked up, if it's kinked up low, you can cut it and retie your hook on. If it's kinked up high, cut it off, retie
How
another
length of
piece
a
wire.
leader are you usually using?
We're using about 18 inches. I buy the wire, it's pre-cut 18 inch. It comes in a tube, it's straightened. You can buy it in a coil as well and cut whatever size you want. But I buy the pre-straightened length, so we just pull out a length that is already cut to the length that we want. Tie it on with a haywire twist. You can tie a swivel on the end to your leader, or you can just go straight to your leader. I like to use an Albright knot.
So you tie it straight directly to the wire.
So without using any swivels typically.
But so are you afraid the swivels are going to get eat, or the swivels just cost too much?
Well, not too worried about the price of swivels, but the less tackle in the water, the better, I feel. Although if it's on the kite, a lot of that's going to be out of the water anyways. But we'll use the same rig on the flat lines too, without a swivel, Albright to 30-pound fluorocarbon. You can use mono as well. So our hook and for a flat line, or if you want to get a deep line down, you put an egg sinker up there. And I like to hold my egg sinker up on the line. We don't have anything to demonstrate. I put a rubber band, a couple half hitches on the line, slide the egg sinker up where you want it, and then when you get your fish on, you don't have to leader it in. You can wind it, and when the egg sinker hits the tip, slides down, you got to wind on leader.
How far away do you put the weight from the bait?
We'll slide it up maybe 10 feet up off the from the hook. Now another for flatlining, a lot of times we'll use a treble hook. This is a
stinger rig.
Well, not even just a single treble.
Right.
If you're using a big bait like a Speedo or something, or a big blue runner, you might want to put a real stinger rig on there. But a kingfish treble, this is I think a number 3, but depending on what size of bait, you want to match it again, 2, 3, 4. Kingfish treble, which these are extra strength trebles, super sharp.
Where do you hook the baits?
If we're fishing out of the riggers or drifting, we typically hook them through the nose, so that way they pull straight. If you want one to go down a little bit, hook them through the back, right in front of the dorsal fin, and he'll angle down. And a lot of times, getting down a little deeper will get those bites.
Well, I see you've got the planers over there. Is that for when you're trolling?
Right, so when we're trolling, typically most all your kingfish bites trolling are going to be down a little bit, whether it's 5 feet or 25 feet under the surface. So we'll use a planer or a wire line outfit. Wire lines are kind of the old school. Planers are a lot more popular. You can go with numerous different size planers. So this is, I think, a number 2, and this is like a 4. And the bigger the planer, the deeper it's going to get. So you hook your line, you swivel off your tip of your rod to the ring here. You put a snap swivel on here with a long leader. You can use a drone spoon, which is an old favorite. This is a 3.5 drone, which is pretty much the standard. Color is kind of irrelevant. A green one, obviously, pink. You can go with silver. That's what we normally use. Or you can put a sea witch. This is a double hook rig. A sea witch was just a short piece of wire. Pink sea witch is probably the most popular. Put a bonita strip on here. Troll this behind your planer or your wire line. And so you got a long leader, you want to use 50 or 60 feet. Get it back behind there, and this is going to go down. So you let it out.
Well, we're about out of time, brother.
Oh, okay. Well, let's catch some kingfish.
I got you. Just make sure you get those things out there. And if you want to go fishing with Jimbo, where would you go?
Well, you can call us is the best way. We are at 305-374-4133.
Thanks, mate. I'm sorry we didn't get you more in there.
That's all right.
Thomas Flyer, man, he can just keep talking. You know our captain's never
Jimbo's
disappoint.
got to learn to talk faster.
I can't jump in.
He's so good. He's so good. Dave had it late tonight. All right, let's get Captain Ronnie Houston on the line, who's setting the kingfish record straight and telling us what we may find inshore and offshore this weekend in the Bell Southwest region. Go for it, Ronnie.
Well, like always, it's a pleasure representing the Bell Southwest region. But you know what? Kingfish, according to Captain Mike Avanon, he said schools of kings usually show up in the area in the fall, generally when the water temp drops below 72 degrees. Now, he's telling me fish are concentrated in large schools anywhere from early December up until mid-March. Most fish average around that time anywhere from about 7 to 20 pounds, but you can catch fish right off the beach and up to about 8 miles out, up to 40 and 50 pounds. Trolling spoons on planers, recommended starting about 50 to 60 feet of water. You know, west of Naples is going to be your best bet to start to locate them. The rest of the year, fish are going to be solitary around wrecks and towers, but also fish will be mixed in with Spanish mackerel schools or around herring schools. Now, live baits are most effective for fish, although trolling spoons and lip plugs with a tracer wire can also be effective all through the year. Still on the offshore side, the red groupers. Now, the red grouper, both south and north, the reports I'm getting from Gordon's Pass to Sanibel, focus your efforts right now in depths of 70 to 85 feet of water, fishing areas of hard bottom and ledges. Now, a variety of weight is needed depending upon the current. It's always recommended to have it as minimal as 5 and up to 10, just to get to the bait to the bottom. And keeping that bait to the bottom is going to be the most important. If the fish are there, it's not going to take long for a bite. And if your bait is moving, you're not going to feel the bite. Variety of baits like cut squid, herring and sardines, also cigar minnows for the reds, and live pinfish, grunts, cigar minnows. Have been catching some nice gags. And I got a picture of a couple nice groupers that were just recently caught up in the northern end of the region. Down the inshore side, the snook. Captain Danny Latham to the north. Part of the region reports between the passes from Sanibel to Stump Pass. Fish are still along the beach as well as Bull and Turtle Bay and the east side. But he's telling me fishing the deeper shorelines with good tidal flow is going to be the key. But down to the south, Capt. Brian Sanders says with a big push of mullet, the outer Gulf Islands from Rabbit Key to Highland Beach on the higher stages of the tide, in the areas of the islands that are strictly holding bait with current and blowdowns has been a key for him. Both captains are using live pilchards, herring and pinfish, but I'm also fishing to the south when I'm fishing on the outer Gulf Islands. But I'm strictly using the Bass Assassin 5-inch dye dapper because I'm strictly looking for them big fish, or I'm using a variety of bright-colored walk-the-dog lures so I can find these fish in schools, then power pull down and attempt to try to catch them with a variety of baits. And I got a couple pictures of a nice snook that was just recently caught down south with Captain Brian Sanders, and I got a picture of a nice snook that was just recently caught in the Flats Masters tournament over the weekend with Michael Dixon. Now, last piece is going to be the tarpon. Captain Danny Latham reports there are still tarpon along the beaches as well as Boca Grande, but as long as we have the weather, plenty of fish are in the upper end of Charlotte Harbor. There's also a good night bite along the bridges in Punta Gorda, Cape Coral, and in the Caloosahatchee and Sanibel. Night bite tide really doesn't make a difference. Most important thing, water's got to be moving. Live herring, pinfish, and a variety of 4 to 6 inch swim baits have been doing well. I got a picture of a nice tarpon release recently with Captain Danny Latham. Guys, keep an eye on the weather for this weekend. Might have a system coming through. And one reminder, I'm going to start giving everybody a good tip. Always remember, wear your lanyard.
All right, thank you so much, Ronnie. Great report. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Caddy Can hotspots from the Southwest region. Ronnie says that inshore, the redfish, Coon Key to Rabbit Key, fishing the outer Gulf Islands on the higher stages of the tide using cut baits and live pilchers. And then offshore, Permit, Wiggins to Stump Pass, as close as 8 miles out to 30 miles, fishing wrecks using live crabs for those permits. What do you think?
Well, Rick, in the
Yes.
CCA Star Spotlight, another iHeartRadio tagged redfish was caught on the West Coast in Hernando County over the weekend, which should be tagged fish number 6. And guess what?
Let me guess.
He was unregistered.
What?
What?
That's a safe bet, man.
Oh,
Whatever.
don't risk that, you guys. Go get registered now. But if you don't target redfish, there are plenty of other divisions, both inshore and offshore. And since we're talking about kingfish tonight, Star has the Cannon Kingfish division, where you can win Cannon downriggers, a Saltmarsh Savannah skiff with Yamaha motors, and other great prizes. So please, go get registered at ccafloridastar.com. Do us a favor. Do yourselves a favor.
I can't even give this stuff away.
I know, shoot. I'm gonna collect at the end of the season. All right, coming up next on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Just kidding. We're exploring the Keys and Casa Vieja Southeast Region Kingdom, so stay wired, and we'll be right back with your captains.
Shoot.
Shoot.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventure. Garmin, join the club. Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealership, serving Southeast and Southwest Florida and Florida's Space and Treasure Coasts. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
Every year, Noble Air Charter flies over 20,000 outdoorsmen and families just like you, economically, to over 300 Bahamian and Florida destinations. Noble Air Charter makes a substantial investment improving booking and aircraft route planning to create the most affordable and economical flight possible. And tomorrow, Noble Air's team will rise to the challenge to raise the bar yet again.
Navigating at night can be dangerous, even for the most experienced drivers. With over 400,000 pixels, Night Track makes it possible to navigate in the dark with confidence. Night Track seamlessly interfaces with all multifunction displays, 2013 or newer, and offers boaters or the outdoorsman peace of mind at an affordable price. For more information, call 251-605-9100.
Hey guys, I often get asked, I've got an oil change due on my Yamaha. What oil should I use, Captain Rick? Well, so guys, I came down to Eric's Outboards and I thought I'd really ask the guys who do this every single day on what they would recommend, and I've learned some really cool things. The one thing that you need to understand is in most cases here at Eric's Outboards, they use the 20W40. And the reason why is that you want to have a thick oil to make sure that you protect all those moving parts in this high heat that we have here in South Florida. Now, if you move a little further north or you're in a cold climate, the one thing that I've learned is that you would want to use a little thinner oil like a 10W30 Yama lube, because the colder climates have a tendency to thicken up the oil, so it'll actually work better. Now, keep in mind that a car engine's designed to run between 2,500 and 3,000 RPMs versus your Yamaha 4-stroke motor is designed to run up to 6,000 RPMs. So Yamaha has spent a lot of money on technology to make sure that they've put in some really cool additives so that the oil doesn't break down and it protects your outboard in its maximum weight. Now, when it comes to your SHO, the 4-stroke motors that they have created, we recommend that you use a 530 synthetic oil. And the reason why is that simply this oil is designed for high performance motors. And in the 4.2 liters, it's mandatory that you use synthetic oil. So keep those things in mind. If you have any questions, you can go down to your Yamaha dealership and pick up a Yamaha Maintenance Matters brochure. It'll actually explain a lot of things. And remember one other thing. Whatever you do, don't substitute any parts for your motor. Make sure that you get the proper oil filters and get all the designated Yamaha parts. And if you have any questions, just call your local dealer. In this particular case, Eric's Outboards, my man. You know, Brie, Yamaha dealers are just like fishing guides. You gotta find one that fits for you, some guy that works with you. So when you get your new Yamahas, you have a place to go where the guy understands what your needs are. So if you go to one dealer and you're not necessarily happy, try another one.
Yeah, all three of you have to have chemistry.
Absolutely.
All three of you. All right, the Keys have everything you could possibly want and need, whether you're offshore or in the backcountry. So let's see exactly what our future holds in paradise. Go for it, Randy.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, here in the Garmin Keys region, we catch a lot of kingfish throughout the year, primarily in the winter, and April is kind of the hot time, and we catch them from Key Largo all the way to the Dry Tortugas. And you can fish a little differently depending on where you're fishing from. And we've also got kingfish out in the Gulf of Mexico as well. So those Gulf wrecks and those Gulf fish usually are some of your bigger kingfish, upwards of 40, 50, and sometimes even bigger out in those spots. Now, live bait is always a good thing to have, whether it's cigar minnows, pilchards, blue runners, speedos. Those are all great baits to catch kingfish. And you can do it by slow trolling. You can do it by drifting. You can fly your kite. There's a lot of techniques. You know, everybody's different in the way that they fish, but certainly the kingfish is a great fighting fish. It's something that a lot of guys will target when they're around. When they're not here, they're not here. this time of year they like to eat your yellowtails on the edge of the reef. So if you're catching yellowtails and all of a sudden you get cut off and you think it's a shark, might not be. It might be a big kingfish, and nobody knows that any better than Captain Richard Black with Black Fly Charters. I've got a photo of him and his angler Justin with one of those kingfish right here.
Nice. All right. What else you got for us offshore, bub?
Dolphin fishing. You know, we're still in, a good time of year to catch dolphin, but I'll tell you what, it's gotten really technical and I think, discipline. You see the birds. A lot of people call me and they go, hey, I saw the birds, but there was nothing under them. If you're finding working birds, and right now you can start from about 400 feet on out, and a working bird is something that is not moving at a rapid rate, doesn't look like NASCAR. He looks like he's going up and down more than he's going right or left. And the behavior of what the bird's doing is really key, and not everybody understands it, but that's really what's going to help you right now, because there's a lot of birds. They're on skipjack tunas. There's a lot of birds. They're on migrating dolphin going with the current. Be aware of, the current in the Gulf Stream goes to the northeast. And a lot of these big dolphin will feed into the current, which goes southwest. So if you're finding birds going one way, you kind of need an idea of what they are. And if they're going the other way, then you know what you're going to be in for. And nobody does it better than Captain Brian Cohn on the Contagious. He should write a book on reading birds, because he's about the only one catching whopper dolphin right now. He is the guru, and he sent me this picture last week with Albert and Charity Bennett with a full-grown dolphin.
That is full-grown, dude. All right, let's go inshore.
The snook fishing is still good. It's still steady. I talked to a lot of guys catching them up on top of the flats. I talked to guys who are catching them along some of the mangrove shorelines and the islands. So it's good to see that they're still around. It seems like the big ones, I usually catch a lot more big ones right now, and I haven't seen them in the last few weeks. But the smaller fish, there's been plenty of them, and I've been hearing some good reports around Flamingo. The tide is pretty important right now. You want moving water. The moving water is going to help these fish bite, and that's the key usually. If you've got no tide, if you've got no current, a lot of times these fish could be there, but you wouldn't know it. And if you've got a live pinfish or pilchards or something like that, you're going to get them fired up to bite for you. And I've got a photo of Lauren with her backcountry snook.
Oh, cutie.
Aww.
Hi, Lauren.
All right, man. Tell me about the trout fishing, bub.
The trout fishing this time of year is kind of a go-to. It's just a fun thing to do for a lot of people. You don't have to be a real sophisticated angler. You can catch them on little rubber jigs. You can catch them on bucktail jigs. You can catch them on popping cork. And they're just fun. A lot of the fish will range from a pound to 2 pounds on average. And you can find them around, the muddy areas you might see in a deep lake. Or a lot of guys like to fish the edges of the channels, especially around Flamingo, where that water's pouring off on an outgoing tide. Going into a trough or going into a channel is a good place to just stake up there and cast. And Captain Greg Poland, he's a local guide here out of the Lorelei, sent me this picture with his happy angler and her trout.
Nice. All right, bub, it's time for us to take a look at the Sunset Inn hotspots from the Florida Keys region. He says inshore, the trout fish the edges of the flats around Flamingo in 2 to 3 feet of water on the outgoing tide. And then dolphins start looking for the birds in 400 feet and make sure that you find working birds to set up on. Don't be distracted by fast-moving birds that are really not working.
Read those birds.
That's it.
Read them. All right, let's now hear from Captain Jimbo Thomas for the second time tonight. Lucky us, and see what the Casa Vieja region can offer us. Jimbo, come on in here.
You got
read your report live tonight.
Tell us about kingfish, Jimbo.
Well, here in the southeast region, we do find kingfish throughout the year. But one of my favorite times, and the time that we catch the biggest kings of the year, is around the full moons of March, April, and May. And that's when we do catch the biggest and the most kings. Now, live baiting and trolling, those are the most popular tactics to target kings. And on the live bait side, pilchards, herrings, sardines, and goggle eyes, those are favorites. You want to fish them under the kite or on the drift. If you don't have any live bait, trolling 3.5 drone spoons, or sea witch and bonita strips on a wire line or behind a planer. That'll get you some bites, and some days the trolling definitely outfishes the live baits. Now the standard depths are anywhere from 50 to 150 feet of water, and you want to use a piece of wire leader because they got some sharp teeth so you don't get any cutoffs with both live and on the troll. You want to use that wire leader. And then average size kings are anywhere from 4 to 20 pounds with much larger ones mixed in. Now also offshore, the dolphin fishing's definitely picked up in the last week. And it's not that we're really catching a lot more of them, but the size has definitely got a lot better. And most of the fish have been in the 4 to 8 pound range. Now anything floating's been holding fish, along with lots of scattered sargassum that we've had out there and large patches of weed. And we've been finding them anywhere from 6 to 12 miles offshore. And most of the fish have definitely had birds working over them. You want to troll rig ballyhoo, R&R mahi magnets, and then once you do find those fish, we've been pitching small live baits like pilchers and cut baits to them. And I got a photo here. These are some good friends of mine from Kin Cook Carpentry out of Naples. They fished with us last weekend. We had a nice dolphin catch there.
Man, that's a dolphin spanking. Good job there, Jimbo. What else you got for us inshore?
Well, moving inshore, the snook fishing's been good in all of the inlets throughout the region and also around the spillway canals. The inlet fishing has been best in the evenings. You want to fish with live pilchards or herrings, or you can work jigs along the bottom, and it's been best on the outgoing tide. But if the water's murky, the tide hasn't really mattered, both incoming and outgoing. And then the spillway fishing has been best in the early mornings or late afternoons. You want to use live pilchards or mullet or croakers, or you can cast jerk baits or jigs with soft plastic tails. Got another photo here. This is Nathan Cochran, who's definitely a snook slayer, and he's a big fan of the show as well, with a 40-inch snook that he caught and released the other day.
That's a pretty big one, bub. All right.
It is. And then inshore, the peacock bass fishing has been good in the lakes and canals of South Broward and Dade County. Best fishing has been in the middle of the day or right after an afternoon shower. You want to use small live shiners, small lipless crankbaits, and chartreuse, black and silver or green and silver, and you want to work those baits extra fast. That's going to get you the most bites. In the deep water, root beer colored soft plastics have been working for these peacocks that have been in the 2 to 3 pound range, and you want to fish around any structure in clear moving water, and some of these there's been largemouths in those same areas.
So what's wrong, Jimbo? You have a hard time walking and talking?
I do.
Don't worry, I do too. You know, I got a question for you.
Multitasking.
Exactly. One of the questions is, tell me what your favorite fish story is. Out of all the years you've been guiding, what's the one that sticks in your mind? Maybe it was the biggest or unique? Or
we had a time we were trolling for marlin off Bimini, and we hooked a couple dolphin, and a marlin ate one of the dolphins. So we ended up fighting this marlin for a long time, and I'm like, well, he's probably not going to stay hooked. An hour later, we're still fighting him. As we get him close to the boat, there's a big jerk on the line. The marlin winds to the boat. His tail's missing. I said, there's got to be a mako shark around here. So we held the marlin at the side. This big mako comes up. We cut a piece of marlin off, put it out there, and we caught the 300-pound mako.
Whoa.
Wow.
Now that's going from one extreme to the next.
Dolphin, marlin, mako.
That's what you always, sounds like a day of
If you want to
fishing.
keep it as the 3 M's, mahi, marlin,
Right.
mako. All right, Jimbo,
M&M.
thanks for coming in. It is time for the R&R Tackle Hotspots, so let's go ahead and take a look at what Jimbo says we should be doing. Inshore, target snook in the inlets and around the mouth of the spillway canals, both with live and artificial baits to catch and release snook. And then offshore, search for the birds and the floating debris in 800 to 1,200 foot depth and look for those dolphins. All right.
Wow, Rick. Could have asked him any question. You asked him what his favorite fish story is? That's
why
such a
not?
dangerous question.
I
It
know,
could go on
but
for hours.
you gotta gamble and lose.
Yours would.
I
Yours
know.
definitely would, but that was a good one.
What am I talking about?
Alrighty, the Almighty Kings have made their mark so far, and next in line, we're visiting the Central East region realms. But first, we're headed into the realm of new products with our workbench king, Dave Farrell.
Yes, we are. It was so funny watching Jimbo try to get around that camera.
It's good. It's all good.
But we're talking about new products, and let's get this little joker. This thing looks edible, doesn't he?
He does. Rick will probably eat him.
Yep, he probably will.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Ameritrail. Load. Launch. relax. Real legends, exclusively at Bell's. Okuma, inspired fishing. Discover Crystal River, Florida. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
At the pinnacle of super high output, 4-stroke outboard performance, you'll find Yamaha VMAX SHO. Yamaha's game-changing SHO technology. From exhilarating V6 models to the sleek inline 4s, there's a VMAX SHO for everything from bass to bonefish. It's an extended family of 4-strokes engineered for lightweight, inspiring performance, and rock-solid reliability. Discover VMAX SHO and elevate your expectations.
Garmin LiveScope, I tell you right now, if you don't have it, you are behind. It's just wild. It's like a video game.
If you do not have that Garmin LiveScope, you are definitely missing out.
Bassmaster Classic Champion!
There are moments in our lives that make us realize how fortunate we really are. To breathe fresh air, to taste the salt of the sea, to be able to roam free in nature. The Florida Keys and Key West are now open to visitors. We have so much to be grateful for.
Well, I'm back at the CCA workbench, Dave, and I know you missed me terribly, but it is time for the new products.
He did good. He did fine. All right, we're talking about, first we're going to talk about the Taco Marine, the GS950. It's a fully electronic masthead anchor light. You know, another one of those products from Taco Marine that's working to keep your feet on the deck and not on the gunnel. You know, reaching up on top of your hard top to lift lights and antennas and all that kind of stuff. It's fully electric masthead anchor light. It's got Delrin bearings in it, a 6-watt stern light that can be seen from 2 nautical miles away, U.S. Coast Guard approved. Mounts to all hard tops, and it pairs with the nice backplate they give to you. It's made in the USA, obviously, and go get them one at tacomarine.com.
It's just so awesome that you don't have to stand on the gunnel and be messing around.
It's fun to play with, too.
Yes, sir.
It's fun to play with.
Oh, it is.
All right, next we got the Bell's, couple of outfits from Bell's, men's outfits. This is a short sleeve Mariner 2 woven shirt. Comes in a lot of different solid colors and prints like that one right there. UPF 50 shirt. It's got quick drying as well. It's got 2 Velcro pockets up in the front there.
Yes, sir.
And a nice mesh ventilation on both the sides and the back and under the arms.
Why don't I just show you on this one, the one I am wearing, and
That's
then
correct.
Obviously on the back.
Yeah, you got vents as well.
You got the vents in the back as well.
Yep, keeps you cool.
Yeah.
Very nice shirts.
You know what I love is, I don't know, they must use models Rick Murphy size.
Yeah,
because
they fit nicely.
They fit perfectly.
Yes,
and
they
then
do.
these are the same shorts.
The tarpon shorts, the classic cargo short, UPF 50. They got like nine pockets. You know, 2 open, and then there's 3 Velcro pockets, and there's a plier pocket. You know, and for me, the elastic. I really like to have the elastic waistband for the expansion.
For the stretchy?
Yeah, for the expansion. Next we got the second outfit here, the LS Real Tech shirt. It's a long sleeve shirt. And they've got a new artist named Leah Szymanski, and she's doing a lot of their art for them. Really beautiful stuff. I love the sharks there.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool,
UPF
man.
40, sun resistant, lightweight, dry. You know, love that art too.
Yeah, man. Did good.
They got a bonefish short over there, 8 pocket cargo shorts with a side elastic as well. That's one of their staples. simple, utilitarian short.
Now, Dave, you like white shorts?
I'm too messy.
Yes.
I can't wear white because I messed them up. My wife. You're a clean fella. I'm filthy. This is the neck, the neck gaiter here, neck shield. Keep everything. It's called the Keep It Cool neck shield. And what you do is you can wear that, keep it on your face.
Gonna mess up my makeup.
It's got the sweat activated cooling. So when you sweat and it makes it wet, it gets cooler and cooler.
I like the way that sounds. When you sweat, it makes it wet.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it activated cooling. UPF 40 on there. Next.
Yeah, looking good.
Yeah, you are looking pretty good. We got the Power Pine concentrated bilge cleaner from Starbright. It's, biodegradable. It's really good. It's not bad for the environment. You can use it in fresh or salt water. It's like I said, environmentally safe. It leaves the bilge clean and nice smelling. What you do is you put 1 fluid ounce, makes 3 gallons, and you just throw that stuff, make you a bucket full, throw it down in the bilge and go fishing and let that stuff slosh around in the bilge all day, and it cleans and dissolves all the nasty stuff and makes it nice and clean smelling as well.
It smells like the pine forest.
It smells really good. So you can go to starbright.com and pick you up some of that bilge cleaner, because all bilges stink before long.
Yes.
Last, what else you got? But not least, we have some Live Target slow roll shiners. I actually used some of these today out here trying to catch some peacock bass and regular bass. I actually caught some regular bass on them. It's really cool. They have a 3-inch and a 4-inch version. What's really cool about them is they have that injective core technologies where you can see that there's a core bait inside, and then the clear a clear encasement with plastic, a soft plastic. It goes all around it, and what it does is it makes the bait look really realistic in the water. It looks just like a real minnow, and that tail really kicks. I put that on a little Ned head jig, a little flat face jig, and it looks just like a minnow. It really does.
I noticed it's got 3 holes. What are the 3 holes for?
Well, you got 3 different holes, so you can, different hook placement. You can put one right up in the nose if you want, right behind the head, and they got one in the middle of the body and one further back. So, you can use a different size jig head.
Oh, cool.
For those.
I got it.
LiveTargetLures.com.
All right. Well, good job over here, Mr. Dave.
Slow rolling.
Yeah, I like it. Speaking of slow rolling, we need to slow roll into a new region.
Oh, that was so smooth. Look at you go. So smooth.
Slow rolling now.
The Bell Central East region sure loves and worships their kingfish bite. So let's hear from Captain Jim Ross, who's telling us all about it and more. Hello, Jim.
Well, how's everybody doing this week?
Oh, we're pretty good.
Well, I tell you, kingfish are actually, they're a staple in our region. You can't find those fish. There's no place you can't really find those fish. You can start on the beaches. You can go all the way out to the 100-foot depths. You can find these fish just about everywhere throughout the summer months. And it's really easy to catch them. All you got to do is go find yourself a live or frozen bait, put it out on a stinger rig, and slow troll over the closest piece of structure or near the closest bait pod, and you're going to find king mackerel in my region this time of the year. Now, if you're looking for some bigger fish, those big smokers, we have a lot of those in late July and early August that come to the beaches. And if you use a bluefish, a blue runner, a pogie, or a ribbon fish at that same speed, 1 to 2 knots, you've got a really good opportunity at catching some of those fish. Our average fish goes 15 to 30 pounds, but those big smokers that come to the beach can be over 40 pounds in my Bell Central East region. And I've got one of those typical kingfish that comes to the beach. I've got a photo of one here that Rick Renfro caught with me here recently.
Nice.
Now, some pretty fish. Now, my second fish offshore is grouper, and the grouper action has been best on the reefs and wrecks in about 130 to 220 feet of water this week, Rick. Live baits like blue runners, grunts, croakers, and even big chunk baits like bonitas or barracudas are best when you're targeting the red, the gag, the scamp grouper on those bottom structures. If you're using a slightly smaller bait, then you kind of have a problem sometimes with this red snapper getting them before the grouper do. But if you use those bigger baits, generally you can keep the snapper off of them. And our average grouper is running from 14 to 20 pounds right now. And some of those gags are running up into the mid 30-pound range. So we've got some big gags right now. And I've got a photo here, Timothy Miles of Cocoa with a nice grouper that he caught on a live pinfish in 140 feet of water the other day.
Wow, that's
and a good one. I've got a second photo of James Bunn, and this is one of the red snapper that you typically will catch while you're grouper fishing because we have some really big snapper in my region.
Dang.
Now, swinging Swinging inshore, the big bull reds are getting better by the day right now. I'm talking with some guys that are fishing all over canal. Even guys fishing kayaks are getting drug up and down the canal right now. And then up in the ICW channel near Edgewater and Ponce Inlet, a lot of big bulls coming in up there as well. Cut baits like mullet, pinfish, croaker, crab, ladyfish, all of those, will work. Just put them on a fish finder rig, put them down on the bottom. And then out on the flats in the lower Mosquito Lagoon, you can find some of those bigger fish as well. You don't need quite as much weight because there's not as much current there, so a split shot rig will do. Most of our big breeder size reds are running anywhere from 40 to 45 inches right now. And then my last species is tarpon. And the tarpon action remains really, really good this week. We're continuing to have large schools of tarpon in the Indian, Banana, and Mosquito Lagoons. And you can find these fish rolling generally somewhere near the ICW channel or in some of the deeper basins in the lagoon like Tiger Basin. Artificials have been okay, but they're not as effective in the middle of the day. So if you're going to use them early or late. In the middle of the day, pigfish, croakers, and pilchards seem to be working best. And good places to look for the tarpon right now are right outside of the Port Malabar area, around the power lines there, or the north and south sides of the NASA Causeway. And then anywhere from about the Indian Mound Fish Camp north to Dick's Cut up in the Oak Hill and Edgewater areas. And our average tarpon is running about 70 to, some of them are going over 100 pounds right now. And I've got another photo here. My son, Captain Justin, has been almost exclusively targeting these fish the past couple of weeks. And he took Zach Catlett from Titusville out the other day on a birthday trip here in our Bell Central East region. And look at the size of the tarpon that Zach had hooked up on the flats here over in the Mosquito Lagoon. That's pretty cool.
That is real cool.
A fun trip for him.
So, Jim, I do have a question for you. When you go on a tarpon trip right now, it looks like it's pretty hot. How many fish are they jumping or getting bites out of in a morning?
It's typically anywhere from 2 to 4 on an average day. We don't have a huge bite going on as far as numbers go, but the quality of the fish is much larger than what we have. And some days we're getting 8 to 12 bites. It just depends on the day. As we come into the new and full moons, you're going to get stronger bites because of that moon effect. But right now we're typically averaging 2 to 4 hooked fish off of about 6 to 7 bites.
One last question. Back in the day, there used to be big giant schools in the Indian River of big bull redfish. That still happen?
Not as much, Rick. We've had a lot of habitat destruction in this part of the state, like other parts of the state. And so we don't have as good of a big redfish fishery as we once had. However, when you're looking for big redfish and you're looking for schooling fish, we're coming into the best time of the year. Mid-August through mid-October is when they group up into 100, 200, 300 fish schools. And so these next 2 to 3 months can be really, really good months to catch those big bulls.
All right, man. Thank you so much for clearing that up for us. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine hotspots from the Central East region. He says inshore, speckled trout in the northern Mosquito Lagoon. Oink, a live pigfish near George's Bar for consistent action. Haha, did you get that, Brie?
I did.
And then offshore, kingfish in 70 to 90 foot reefs outside Ponce Inlet. Slow troll live baits or large spoon and a planer combo. Oink, a pigfish, not a pinfish, a pigfish.
Pigfish, got you.
He got you.
He got you, apparently. He's very impressed with that. All right, the Discover Crystal River Northwest and Star Trek Central West regions are making their marks next here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. But remember, before we go, oink! To keep up with everything fishing in Florida, make sure to visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, of course, Captain Rick Murphy, where we upload new videos every week.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
All right.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Alvi Reels, a better way to fish. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing, book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Finding a shoreline is easy. Finding a sure thing is not. For over 20 years, anglers from Kitty Hawk to California and every shore in between have come to know one thing: that nothing says no to fish bites. So just stop with the fishing and get busy with the catching. Ask for Fish Bites or Fish Bites Fight Club lures or visit fishbites.com.
Come explore untouched Florida, where you'll step into holy sea cow and fish pristine waters where you'll reel in, whoa! Come discover Crystal River with exciting adventures and incredible surprises everywhere. From exhilarating river adventures to scalloping in the Gulf to delicious fish to fork cuisine, this is the place where you can relax into, Just a short drive from Tampa and Orlando is the amazing Discover Crystal River, Florida. Learn more at discovercrystalriverfl.com.
Dive into scallop season and become part of a tradition in Crystal River and Homosassa. Let local captains take you on an underwater adventure, dive into the warm, shallow waters of Florida's nature coast, and fill your bag with tasty bay scallops. It's like an underwater Easter egg hunt. Then enjoy a meal with the freshest catch around, yours. Discover Crystal River invites you to plan your scallop season adventure from July 1st through September 24th at discovercrystalriverfl.com. Well, speaking of Discover Crystal River, Rick, I have some exciting news.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Our Discover Crystal River Getaway Contest finally has a winner. Congratulations, April G, on your fun win. You get to stay at the Plantation Inn, and scalloping is the best in Crystal River. It's one of my favorite spots in Florida, quite frankly. We just went, and it was a blast.
Yes, it was.
Congratulations, you're
Good
going to
eats,
have a lot of fun.
Good people, good place.
Yep. Good times. All right, and someone who knows just how great and how much the Discover Crystal River Northwest region has to offer is Captain Jeff Hageman, who is ready to give us his report. Hey, Jeff.
How you doing? Just went scalloping last weekend. It was good. So kingfish, our theme, we've got them in the spring and the fall. The migration usually comes through in both the spring and the fall. That magic water temperature is 68 degrees to 74 degrees when you're going to find our fish here in big concentrations. Fast-lipped trolling plugs like Magnum Impalas work good. King spoons work really good. As far as slow trolling goes, live baits like thread fins, live sardines, blue runners, Spanish sardines are all great baits. Or just anchoring up over top of artificial reef or wreck and chumming out the back is always a great idea, and that always works well. A little piece of wire to keep it from getting cut off. As far as location goes for kingfish, if you find the bait on an artificial reef, wreck, or hard bottom, you're going to find the kingfish when they're here in that water temperature. Rock piles, reefs, hard bottom, like I was talking about, will all hold them. But what we do have a lot of right now is mangrove snapper, and the bite's been really good throughout the region. Anywhere from 10 to 70 feet of water. Look for fish concentrating over the next couple moons because they're going to be spawning up, so they're going to be getting really concentrated. Time of day, right now, the bite's been pretty decent during the day, but the night bite's going to get better and better as we get closer to those moons. Tailhook shrimp and a small pinfish on a knocker rig has been the bait of choice. And it's always a good idea when you're fishing for any snapper to throw a little chum out there or put a chum bagger over the side or on the bottom to get the fish fired up. Moving inshore, Captain James Goodwin of GoFloridaFishing.com in Lower Tampa Bay reports a good snook bite right now in Lower Tampa Bay on the outgoing tide. Live pinfish and sardines fishing on the points and passes have produced some really good post-spawn fish right now. Moving up in the bay, Captain Jason Lineberger of Ruthless Fishing Charters out of Tampa Bay reports a good bite right now. Wheaton and the 4th Street Flat. Live sardines, either free-lined or corked, have been the bait of choice at the beginning of the outgoing tide. Moving over to Ozona, Captain Jenny Huddleston of CaptainHud.com reports a good Ozona snook bite right now. Constant patterns along the Gulf right now with many fish staging up on the major passes. Anglers have had the best luck on the hard outgoing tide. Big pinfish pegged with 2 ounce weight, and crookers are also working well. Keeping those baits pinned down on the bottom has been the key. 40-pound leaders is a must. Most of the fish right now are averaging on the large side, that 35 to 40-inch fish being pretty consistently caught on the beginning of the incoming tide. And the bigger snook have been sight fished along the beaches with live sardines. And I've got a photo there of a great snook from Jimmy.
Yeah.
Well, that is a big one, bub.
Yeah, he's getting some good ones right now.
What else you got?
Moving up to Crystal River, Captain Mario Costello out of Tattletales and Plantation Inn reports a good redfish bite right now. He's fishing the mangrove keys from Crystal River to the Chaz, working mangrove islands with active mullet spools around the points and coves, overhanging branches right now, and he's using live mud minnows on an 1/8-ounce jig head. When the schools are tight to the mangroves, he's also using a free line pinfish. When they move off the shorelines, fire both those baits in there and you'll get them going. Right now, most of the fish right now are slot-sized fish, that 20 to 25-inch fish. Multiple hookups are not uncommon. Most of the schools right now are anywhere from 50 to 150. Moving all the way up to the very edge of my region, Captain John Lane out of Apalachicola with JB Charters reports the redfish bite right now. Mostly on the flats, mainly feeding on pogies right now, along the marsh points and ridges, the end of the incoming tide. And I've got a couple photos. I got a picture of Katie Jo and Kaylin with a nice pair of upper slot redfish caught with Mario.
You got 2 photos there?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me.
I've got another one coming with from John Lane from Apalachicola. So we got a little Apalachicola redfish in there too.
A double header with the girls. All right, good job.
Go girls.
Hey, Hag, I got a quick question for you. You don't hear about the red fishing too much further north, but tell me a little bit about that outside of Crystal River, up the Chaska-Witzka. What is that pattern the same, or what is it?
That pattern all the way, that's where Mario's fishing. Mario's fishing right now all the way up to Chaska-Witzka. And he said they're all hanging right now and trying to get away from the heat. And on those higher tides, they're getting underneath the bushes where they got mangroves and hanging anywhere there's kind of shade. And they'll be on oyster bars too.
All right, man. Thank you.
You get up there to Wackasassa, you got more of that marsh, and you got less bushes to hang over. And they're going to be in those deeper potholes around the oyster bars.
I got it. All right, bub. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Alta equipment hotspots from the Northwest region. Inshore, snook on the beaches and the passes use live sardines and pinfish on an outgoing tide. And then offshore, gag groupers in 100 to 210 feet of water over the rock piles and ledges use pinfish and pigfish on the standard bottom rig. Oink your pinfish down deep now.
Oink them. All right, let's head a little farther south and drop our lines into the Startron Central West region, where Captain Paige is ready and waiting to tell us what we should look forward to this week. Hey, Paige.
Well, the weather sure has been nice so far this week, and I don't see any major changes, at least through the weekend. I think we're going to have a good weekend coming up. And, kingfish in the Startron Central West region are a mainstay, probably because you can catch them in flats boats. Like Hag was saying, during the migratory push of fish, it's March, April, May, and then in the fall, the same thing, like October, November, December. But we have a lot of fish that just are resident fish. Like guys are still catching kingfish on near shore wrecks and reefs, be it artificial reefs that are marked on most of your bottom machines and GPSs, and they're easy to find. A lot of your tackle stores have them, and all you want to find once you get out on those artificial reefs is schools of bait, either on top or marking it with your machine, and you're still going to catch some nice kingfish. Not like in the spring and fall, but my photo, which I'm going to show in a little bit, is of a king just caught a week ago. Hag touched on it. Lipped plugs work real well as live baits like live blue runners, thread fins, pilchards, even pinfish. And a little trick I learned not too long ago was if you cork a pinfish, a friend of mine down in Homestead likes corking pinfish, the kingfish will nail it sometimes. And I never have seen anyone kingfish with cork baits before, but we did one day and we did very well. Average kingfish in our region from 12 to 25 pounds, but it's not uncommon to get a 30, 40 pound plus fish. And that's my photo tonight. Captain Tyler of Chasing Tails Charters out of Marina Jacks with a real nice kingfish he got just last week.
The big one.
That is a big one. Go ahead, Paige.
All right, red grouper, with the seas finally laying down, the red grouper bite remained strong. The water didn't get that churned up. And the most consistent and cool thing about the red grouper right now, they're catching them in a little closer because the water temperature dropped a few degrees. And when you're 70, 80 feet down to 100 feet, that red grouper doesn't know that it's that hot. And the other good thing is if you aren't able to get live bait, the red groupers have been hitting the cut sardines, frozen menhadens just as good. Anywhere from 90 to 110 feet has been the bigger fish over smaller areas of hard bottom. And don't be surprised if you come up with a cobia, mango snapper, or even a nice gag grouper. My red grouper photo tonight is of another nice limit caught aboard the Gulf Coast Offshore Ventures with Captain Tim No. Moving inshore, red fish, not red grouper. Like I said last week, the red fish keeps improving. As we approach this next full moon, look for it to even get better. I've gotten reports of guys catching them in the passes from Passage Key south to New Pass, especially on that afternoon outgoing tide. What they're doing is they're freelining live pinfish, or you could even put a knocker rig on it and just letting it go out the pass, freeline, and they're getting picked up around rock piles and docks in the inlets. Also got good reports of groups of fish in South Tampa Bay from Terracea Bay north to Joe's Island. And all those fish, Rick, are mixed in with the mullet schools around oyster bars and mangroves. If you like throwing late lures, that morning topwater bite's been really well. I've been having really good success with it. And then later in the day, switch over to the Saltwater Assassin 4-inch sea shad in the golden brim pattern on a silver 1/4-ounce jig head. And my redfish photo tonight is of a happy client with Captain Will Osborne of Cortez, Florida. And my last species tonight, tarpon. Here it is, almost August, and guys are still catching good quality tarpon out along the beach. The strategy has changed a little, not so much worried about throwing in big groups of fish, but setting up on the line that the fish seem to be traveling with corked pinfish or dead menhaden or dead threadfins on the bottom with your spot lock on, your Rodan spot lock on, or anchor up, and just wait for that bite. And if you get 3 or 4 rods out, you're going to get the bite. And my last photo tonight is of a local Sarasota angler, Luke Maglich, with a nice tarpon he got on the beach off Lido just a couple days ago.
Spot, lock, and drop it. Hey.
I knew that was going to get Brie going there, bub.
Yeah, well. That was a nice tarpon, by the way, Paige.
Keep up the pictures coming. Good pictures this week, Captain Paige. It is time for the Daiquiri Deck Hotspots. It's also time almost for the daiquiri, isn't it, Brie?
Yep.
Inshore, mangrove snappers holding in the passes and the inlets from Venice Jetty north to New Pass. Use cut fresh chunks of pilchards on a 15 to 20 pound leader with light wire, number 2 circle hook. And then offshore, gag groupers holding on the ledges and hard bottom areas off of Anna Maria, 90 to 110 feet of water. Live pinfish or cut sardines are gonna work the best for those red fire trucks.
Red fire trucking. Woohoo! All right.
I saw you catching fire trucks the other night on the Sportsman's Adventures.
Did you?
Yes.
You weren't there, though.
Nope, I wasn't.
You weren't. I was on a different boat.
You left me on the dock.
I did. We're diving into one more region when we return on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and that is the Garmin Panhandle region. So stay hooked, and we'll be right back. You were on the dock now. You're catching red.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. The IGFA, Fish for the World, Sportsman's Adventures, Fishing for Adventure, and Bells, everything you need to live life local.
When you live on an island, surrounded by warm, clear water, and a million ways to enjoy it, it's amazing you'll ever have time to come
air. Key West. Close to perfect. Far from normal.
Get a great deal on the Kubota L-Series tractor. Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota L-Series tractor is the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. for over 10 years. With a powerful Kubota diesel engine and dependable gear or HST transmission, it's ready to take on your toughest projects. Right now, get the L2501 HST for payments as low as $149 a month.
Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's highest volume Kubota dealer.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Have you ever felt your heart pounding while feeling the power of a tarpon in the Florida Keys? Or experienced the changing colors of a mahi as you bring it on board? Whether it's in the Bahamas, the Florida Keys, Guatemala, or the Florida Everglades, Murphy's Law Sports Fishing has the ability to guide you to the fish of a lifetime. To book your trip today, call 305-246-0673 or go to murphyslawsportfishing.com.
Today's Power Pole tip is about the Sea Monster Network. As most of you know, Power Pole has always been a technology-driven company and will continue to innovate new products and technologies now and into the future. It was about 6 or 7 years ago that we looked at all the different technologies that were available on the market, but they all had limitations like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So we designed and built the Sea Monster Network from the ground up, specifically designed it for the marine industry so that anglers could wirelessly control everything on their boat from bow to stern. Now, it may not be as obvious as the Power Pole anchors on the back of everyone's boat, but it will soon be just as widespread. So, next time you're in the store and you're picking out your favorite marine accessory, look for the Sea Monster logo on those products. And that is your Power Pole tip.
All right, the Kings continue to rule in the Garmin Panhandle region, so let's get Captain Pat Deneen on the line to give us all of the details. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Brie, I'll tell you what, kingfishing has been pretty good lately throughout the Panhandle. We typically start to catch them as early as May and continue to catch them into November. And some of the biggest kings are caught over deeper natural bottom and 150 plus feet of water, particularly in the fall. So, we have probably some of the best kingfishing coming up soon. As anywhere, when targeting kings, live bait rules, baits of choice are going to be cigar minnows and herrings. But if you're specifically targeting the bigger kings, go with blue runners, bluefish, or even mullet. And obviously, you want to use wire leaders to prevent cutoffs. But when the bite is tough, we'll often use the wire on the stinger rig, but instead of having wire ahead of the nose hook, we'll tie that nose hook to 60-pound or 80-pound fluorocarbon. You're going to still get some cutoffs, but it's really effective, and you'll definitely get more bites by doing that. And lately, the kings being caught have been averaged 8 to 12 pounds, and there's been some pretty nice racks of them caught this past week out of Destin. And then staying offshore, the red snappers they're closed for recreational anglers, but they're still open for federally permitted for hire vessels, which means you can still hire a charter boat that has a federal permit and go out and get red snappers. And they've been getting them pretty good, weather permitting. It's been a bit rough early this week, tropical weather moving across the Gulf, and unfortunately, it looks like we may have a good chance of rough weather this weekend. But the red snappers are out there. The federal guys are obviously fishing in federal waters, 9 nautical miles out. They target a natural and artificial bottom, 120 to 200 plus feet of water. And if they know the place is packed, and they're going to drop their baits just down a third of the way down, not fish near the bottom, basically start high and work their way down the water column until they start getting bites. Snappers, especially the bigger ones, will rise well up into the column to feed, either using a Carolina rig baited with live cigar minnows, herrings, pilchards, or even bay baits like a finger mullet or a croaker. And the better boats are regularly getting their limit with a couple of the fish often exceeding or pushing 20 pounds. And then moving inshore, the rough offshore weather we've had has definitely increased pressure on the inshore fishery, and the redfish have been the prime suspect. I spoke with Captain Sean Chalker over in Bar Hoppin' Charters over in Indian Pass. He reports good redfish on the high tide close to the bank in Apalachicola Bay. And in Apalachicola Bay's muddy water, Captain Sean relies on flash, vibration, and sound. So he's been casting gold spoons, paddle tail baits, and popping corks. But nearby in St. Joe Bay, Captain Dan Van Priest of Perfect Cast Charters, he takes advantage of that clear water in St. Joe Bay. He visually finds the schools of redfish, and he's been finding them on the Cape between the Eagles Harbor and the Point, and also on the mainland side, west, or I guess really north of the Barge Canal. He's visually finding the schools of redfish, setting up, casting soft plastics, and live baiting with pilchards. And in our bay, Choctawhatchee Bay, the outgoing tide at Destin Ridge has been pretty consistent with slot and above slot redfish using live baits on a Carolina rig. That bite should just keep getting better as fall approaches. The number one bait of choice is going to be a nose hooked 4 to 5 inch golden croaker, but spot minnows, herrings, and finger mullets are good alternatives. And there's a photo that Captain Sean Chalker sent in of his client with the Apalachicola Bay redfish. And if you take a look at that water behind the angler there, you're going to know why flash, vibration, and sound are so important. That's some pretty dark water. And then, what's that?
No, go ahead. Snappers, tell us about them.
Yeah, man, finally inshore, the black snappers or mangrove snappers. They're a great backup for catching fish and bringing home some supper inshore. As like all snappers, they're structure-oriented, so you're going to find them on the rock piles, the bridge pilings, the jetties, or other structure, with the best fishing coming from the deeper structure near the inlets. 2 to 3 inch pilchards, baby herrings, live shrimp, all make great snapper baits. Either free line your bait, or if there's a bit of a current, use a Carolina rig. But pay in mind that the mangroves are very wary, so use a light leader, maybe as light as 10 pounds, and a small hook, and the lightest amount of lead you can get away with. Most base mangroves are in that barely legal to about 12-inch size, but they're very good eating. And I do want to remind everybody, it's still not too late to get involved with the CCA tournament. It's a multiple species tournament where the biggest fish doesn't necessarily win. It's all about going fishing, entering your catch into the tournament pool, and hoping you get drawn. And additionally, you catch one of those tag redfish, you're going to walk away with a sweet boat or a vehicle. So if you aren't playing, then you're not in the game.
That's right, Pat. Thank you so much. The Blue Water Outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle read as such. Inshore, use ladyfish and for the black-tip sharks along the Shell Island and the Oskaloosa Island beaches. And then offshore, vermilion snappers on the natural bottom in 110 to 180 feet of water using cut baits. What?
You're killing me tonight. You're just killing me.
You know what? He mentioned Chocolate Bay, and because
No,
you
he
haven't
didn't.
eaten in 2 days, you went crazy on chocolate.
Eaten. The water was dark and it looked like chocolate, so I said chocolatey. What's wrong with that? The kingfish rain has almost come to an end here on the
Pat
Florida
right off.
Insider
What?
Fishing Report.
What was that?
But we're not done with toothy critters yet, so stay tuned and we'll tell you what we're rigging up for next week. We'll be right back. Chocolate.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
Why is Casa Vieja Lodge on everyone's bucket list?
Left teaser. Left flat as well. 2 fish. They're everywhere. Right flat teaser as well. Left flat, right flat teaser.
Come to Casa Vieja Lodge and check it off your list.
Next week, we're talking Rick.
Mangrove snapper.
So make sure you tune in. It's Rick's favorite question.
They are delicious.
What is your favorite? I don't even
delicious.
know anymore.
If I could catch one of those mangoes like Tommy
Like
had in
Tommy,
his report,
I know.
a 13-pound mango snapple.
I
Gotta
know.
go at night up where I live.
Oh, and guess what? Tommy Derringer's gonna be here.
Yeah.
Is he? Because you going on vacation.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for
I
tuning
go.
in.
We
Be
go.
safe with the weather this weekend. Bye.